Hello, fellow classmates and Dr. Donaldson. My name is Conley Cummings. This is my lightning talk presentation on adverse childhood experiences, their effects on development, and how we can build trauma-sensitive schools that can help accommodate for children who have experienced an adverse childhood event. So the first question we have is, what is an adverse childhood experience? And these are some of the most intensive and frequently occurring sources of stress, such as abuse, neglect, parental violence, or peer and community violence. They can also include living with someone who is mentally ill or someone who has substance abuse problems. Um, and these adverse childhood experiences have been shown to play a crucial role in the development of mental health problems and have contributed to adults with post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and suicidal behaviors. They have also been linked to chronic irritability and could tie into how children perceive threats within their world. Next, we'll talk a little bit about the prevalence and where we see different types of adverse childhood experiences. If you look in the slide, it shows that a kind of wide range, 14 to 55% of individuals have experienced physical abuse worldwide, 11 to 47% emotional abuse, 6 to 22% sexual abuse, and 7 to 19% have shown physical neglect, 15 to 40% emotional neglect. These numbers are definitely pretty wide, but it is also a challenging thing to gauge accurate data on. Um, there's some interesting pieces on how it's broken down between boys and girls and things that are reported. And it's also worth noting that an estimated 26% of children will experience a traumatic event before the age of 4, and data suggests that 1 in 4 children attending school have witnessed a traumatic event, and that's accordance with a survey conducted by the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. So these adverse childhood experiences have some societal impacts as well. If you look in the slide, you can see they've been linked to various health issues and also have been linked to juvenile delinquency. And those who have experienced 4 or more ACEs were more than 32 times likely to be identified as having a behavior or learning problem than a child who had not experienced any ACEs. So, as you can see, there's a large impact on these learners and their capabilities having experienced these events that last really all the way up into their adulthood lives. Right now, what a lot of schools are implementing still as the most wide sort of preventative measure for children who have experienced ACEs is a more universal term, PBIS, or positive behavioral interventions and support systems. And these think like using a token system in your classroom or tickets. It's rooted in ABA and behaviorism, but really it hasn't been shown to take on the root of the cause. It has decreased suspensions and expulsions, but it doesn't provide for coping and resiliency that we'll discuss a little bit more in trauma sensitive. Trauma sensitive schools really put an emphasis on a sense of community and social emotional connectedness, as well as knowledge and prevalence of impact of trauma, and then building the educators as caregivers and building empowerment and resiliency within their students to address the cause of behaviors and thus provide social justice. These schools use a research-backed curriculum in a systematic way to help children identify and cope with their emotions. They really require an in-depth teacher training and monitoring to be implemented appropriately and effectively. The first ways that these sorts of schools can be developed in the relationship to build with children is through a healthy attachment between the child and the caregiver. And we can gain this by engaging in mutually reinforcing interactions. And this will help promote a good relationship with the child and will allow you to build skills such as resiliency later on as you work with that child. It's one of the most important skills that we can build in our learners who have experienced ACEs is once we've established that healthy attachment is building resiliency and capitalizing on some of the strengths that these learners have already developed. So you can focus interventions around these skills that children have developed and then start to build on self-regulation, problem solving, emotional literacy, and then be sure to maintain these skills through more and more interactions that promote a sense of value and respect within your classroom or learning environment. Final little piece of this aspect of things is just reflective practice. And this is something that I think we should all be doing as instructors is being reflective and being honest and authentic in your thoughts and how you interact with families and learners, but then also reflect on how you have succeeded or have had shortcomings and make adjustments in your future instruction, just as we do in all of our instruction as educators. So this last slide just shows a little bit of the various successes that have been marked by different trauma sensitive approaches. Teachers have built confidence, it's shown student results. There's a lot of really positive things that come out of trauma sensitive classrooms. And I know some of this may even sound like it's been kind of common sense, but the more aware of these things that we are, and the more reflective that we can be as teachers, and the more that we can implement approaches such as this, I think the more of these sorts of successes that we'll see. And that ultimately leads to students having a greater depth of understanding and also long-term societal benefits that come into play when you think about money and funding for where children end up after having experienced these events so early in life and early in their development. So these are some of the many positive things, and I hope that you've enjoyed it and learned a little bit from this presentation. Thank you all.